Dear student, today I, Dr. Shefali Jain, Assistant Professor, Tirthankar Mahavir University. Today we discuss about what is the elasticity of demand. In the previous video, we discussed about the demand. In the demand, we have seen that the demand curve expressing the relationship between the price and quantity demanded of a commodity slopes downward. In other words, if you see, there is an inverse relationship between the price and the demand of a commodity. This means that quantity demanded of a commodity increases as its price falls, and the quantity demanded decreases when its price rises. We can also see that demand for a commodity is responsive to a change in price. The law of demand explained in the previous video. I have also explained the demand curve, but before understanding the elasticity of demand, I want to can briefly introduce about the demand, the law of demand. The law of demand explain only the direction of change of demand and price of a commodity. It fails to explain the quantitative relationship between the two changes. How much quantity demanded will change as a result of a change in price of a commodity, and the intensity with which demand react to price change is not captured by the demand law. To know how much changes it becomes in the demand when the prices changes. We also discuss it in the elasticity of demand. Elasticity of demand Elasticity of demand is a term widely used in economics still. The elasticity of demand uh, refers to the shift in the demand for an item or service. When a change occurs in one of the variables that buyers consider as a part to their purchase decision, it's a relationship between demand and another variable, such as price, availability, or substitutes, advertising pressure, and the customer income. When a change in any one of those variables causes is a significant altering in the demand for a product or service, its elasticity of demand is considered high. Through of another way, elasticity show that a customer's buys behavior is highly flexible, like an elastic in when the sorry when the customer buy behavior is highly elastic. We will also discuss about it. When the more willing customers are to change purchasing decision, the more elastic a product or service is. If a customer is willing to buy a different brand of coffee simply because of its on sale that week, or completely forego buying coffee because its price has gone up, coffee can be sent to have a lasting demand. And it is also the degrees of demand. I am also explaining you it briefly. By contrast, say as products that elastic do not experience large shift in the demand due to changes in their purchase consider variables. Customers remain rigid or firms in their buying choices for certain products and are unable to the flexible, as tobacco purchase and utilities are classic example of inelasticity of demand, because most time a change in price or increase in advertising won't significantly influence customer demand. Elasticity, you can see here that elasticity of demand describe the potential for variation in demand for a product or service arising from changes in price, customer income, advertising, and other related factors. It means many factors influence elasticity, such as price, availability of substitute, necessity, brand, loyalty, and urgency. Uh, Understanding elasticity of demand can help guide a business marketing and selling strategies to maximize their profit. Uh, Elasticity of demand, elasticity of demand uh, influence demand requires key market insight and key market insight and also flexibility in purchasing decision of the customer. The chosen brand or product substitutes, just like inelastic demand is unwavering up to a point. For this reason, reducing elasticity is often considered to be a market's primary goal. Mainly, if you see that elasticity of demand is referred to the shift in demand for an item or service. When a change occurs in one of the variables that buyers consider as a part of their purchase and decision. I think, student, you have to understood what is demand and what is the elasticity of demand. Elasticity of demand tells us what percentage change in the demand. So we can say that elasticity of demand is the responsiveness of the quantity demanded of a commodity to changes in one of the variables on which demand depend. One of the variables as price, substitute goods, income. In the other words, it is the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage in one of the variable on which demand depend. The variables on which demand can depends are price of the commodity and price of the commodity, prices of the related commodities, consumer income. I think you have to perfectly understood. Now we discuss about the types, four types of elasticity of demand. Now we discuss about the types of elasticity of demand. There are four types of elasticity categorized categorized by the variables as a price, related product, customer incomes, and anywhere you can see also advertising. Basically, three types of elasticity of demand mostly categorized. But here I also take the advertising. Formulas for calculating each type of necessity of demand can be used for scenario planning. But it's important to note that the customer behavior is not an exact science, and uh, predictions can be difficult. Now we discuss about the price elasticity of demand. What is the price elasticity of demand? When consumer uh, when customers are highly sensitive to change in price, there is a high price elasticity of demand. This means, for example, if the inflation causes prices to increase, customer will reduce the quantity they purchase by switching substitutes or skippings. It can also indicate controversially that price reduction may increase additional sales. You can also see the formulas here. Price elasticity of demand is equal to percentage change in quantity divided by percentage change in price. And you can also use the other formula. Price elasticity of demand is equal to Q2 minus Q1 upon Q1 and divided by P2 minus P1 upon P1. Here Q1 initial quantity of demand, Q2 new quantity of demand, P1 initial price, and P2 uh, uh, is equal to for new price. Uh, these formulas can be used to use to verify the price elasticity of demand. I think you can explain. You can understood what is the price elasticity of demand. It tells us when the change it tells us when the price is changes how much demand is changes. So it tells the price elasticity of demand. So price elasticity of demand is the percentage change in the quantity demanded with respect to the percentage change in price. Price elasticity of demand uh, can be illustrated by the following formulas, which is seen in the screen. Suppose, for example, a 20% increase in the price of a product causes a 3% fall in the quantity demand. So then it will be minus zero point 0.5. It will be zero point 0.5, and you can also use with the formula. You can also find out it. Now we discuss about the cross elasticity of demand. Cross elasticity of demand when changes in the price of one product prompt changes in the demand for another. The two products must be related either as complementary or substitute goods. In the previous videos, I also explained you what is the complementary or substitute goods. Complementary goods which are good together as car and petrol, and substitute goods which can be used in place of the other. So cross elasticity of demand is the percentage change in the quantity demanded for specific good with the respect to the percentage change in the price of the another related goods. It can be complementary or substitute. When the product are substitutes for each other, a rise in the price of one will be usually cause a rise in demand for the another. Elasticity of demand is calculated. You can also elasticity of demand is calculated by dividing the percentage change in the quantity demanded by the percentage change in the price. You can find out the elasticity of demand with the cross elasticity of the demand with the help of this formula. For example, in the substitute goods, if coffee prices rise, then demand for the breakfast tea is likely to increase as customers substitute tea for coffee. Cross elasticity of demand is related to the substitute goods and mostly in the cross elasticity of demand for the substitute goods is always positive because the demand of for one goods increases when the price for the substitute goods increases. The cross elasticity of demand for the complementary goods is negative. There is generally no cross elasticity of demand when dealing with the unrelated goods. Mostly, cross companies often use the cross elasticity of demand to determine and the set of the prices of their goods and services. With the formulas, you also can find out the cross elasticity of demand. Here, you can see the cross elasticity of demand is equal to percentage change in the quantity for product A divided by percentage change in price for the product B. And you can also find out the cross elasticity of demand with this formula. Cross elasticity of demand is equal to Q quantity, initial quantity. It is also here written Q2A minus Q1A upon Q2A plus Q1A divided by P2B minus P1B upon P2B plus P1B. It means Q1A is equal to initial quantity of demand for of product A. Q2 A new quantity of demand of product A, and P1B सॉरी हाँ E1 B यानी इनिशियल प्राइस ऑफ प्रोडक्ट बी और P2 B न्यू प्राइस ऑफ प्रोडक्ट बी. It means figure out the total quantity of demand of X and the initial price of Y. Determine the final quantity demanded of X and ending price of Y. You with the calculate the cross elasticity of demand by dividing the percentage change in quantity by the percentage change in price. Mostly the cross elasticity of demand refers to how sensitive the demand for a product is to change in the price of another product. It measures how demand for a one good change when the price of another typically related good does cross elasticity of demand and you can use the formula to make comparison of products that are considered perfect substitute for each other or those that are complementary to each other. The cross elasticity of demand for substitute goods remains positive because when with the example you can also understood it when the price of the suppose coffee is increases the demand of the substitute tea will be increases so it has a positive relationship and the demand for complementary goods drop when the price rises for another goods this is refers to a negative cross elasticity of demand suppose the price of petrol is increases. It's give the effect of the demand of the car and it will be negative. It will be decrease because they are dependent to each other. They go together. I think you have completely understood what is the cross elasticity of demand. Now we discuss about the income elasticity of demand. Income elasticity of demand in the economics, we can income is symbolically used by the bank by because that is the notations economics is used for income. Income elasticity of demand is the relationship between demand and customer income. As income decreases, quantity of demand tend to decline even if all other factors remain the same, including price. It means income elasticity of demand refers to the sensitivity of the quantity demanded for a certain good to a change in the real income of customers who buy this good. The formula for calculating income elasticity of demand is percent change in quantity demanded divided by percent change in income. With income elasticity of demand, you can tell if particular good represent a necessity or a luxury because income elasticity of demand is an economic measure of how responsive the quantity demanded for a good or service is to a change in income and the formula for calculating income elasticity of demand is the percentage, as I also explained you, percentage change in the quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in the income. Mostly businesses use the measure to help predict the impact of a business cycle or sale. Income elasticity of demand measure the responsiveness of demand for a particular goods to change in customer income. The higher income elasticity of demand for a particular goods, the more demand for that good is tied to fluctuations in the customer's income. Businesses typically evaluate the income elasticity of demand for their product to help predict the impact of a business cycle on product sales. And if you it's give a different effect income elasticity demand give different effect on the inferior goods versus normal goods Depending on the value of the income elasticity of demand, goods can be broadly categorized as inferior or normal goods. Normal goods have a positive income elasticity of demand. As income rise, more goods are demanded at each price level, and while because normal goods whose income elasticity of demand is between 0 to 0 and 1 and are typically referred as a necessarily good, which are product and services that customer will buy regardless of changes in their income level. Example of necessity goods and services include tobacco products, haircuts, water, and uh, electricity. And income rises, the proportion of the total consumers' expenditures on necessary goods typically sorry, typically decline in the inferior goods, have a negative income elasticity of demand. As customer income rises, they buy fewer inferior goods. A typical example of such a types of product as cheap goods, yeah, cheap butter, jar, uh, uh, just like so normal goods have a positive relationship while inferior goods has a negative relationship. Now luxuries goods are a types of normal goods associated with the income necessities of demand greater than one. Customers will buy proportionately more of a particular goods compared to the percentage change in their income. So and then income is increases uh, income is increases of the customer, he also give the place of the luxuries goods also. So as you see in the example, income elasticity of demand, income elasticity of demand can be find out with the help of the formula percentage change in the quantity divided by percentage change in income. You can also find out with this help. Um, Income elasticity of demand is equal to Q2 minus Q1 upon Q1 divided by Y2 minus Y1 upon Y1. Yani Q1 initial quantity of demand, Q2 new quantity of demand, Y1 initial income, Y2 new income. Student, I hope you understood well what is the income elasticity of demand. Now we discuss about advertising elasticity of demand. This type of advertising elasticity of demand measured a market sensitivity to the increase it meant, to uh, the increase or decrease in advertising status. As this type of elasticity of demand focus on the relationship between customer demand and a seller's advertising. It's a measure of advertising effectiveness, and you can also find out with the help of the formula. Advertising necessity of demand measure and uh, advertising effectiveness in the generating new sales. It is calculated by the dividing the percentage change in the quantity demanded by the percentage change in the advertising expenditures. A positive advertising necessity indicates that an increase in advertising leads to a rise in demand for the advertising goods or services. As in the brief, advertising necessity of demand measure advertising expenditures impact on generating new sales. What impact is giving on the generating new sales for a company? Companies want a positive advertising necessity of demand because it indicates advertising efforts resulted in an increased demand for their goods and services. Advertising elasticity of demand may not be most accurate predictor of advertising impact or sale because it doesn't consider other factors that affect demand such as change in uh, consumers' taste and spending habits. The price of product and the availability of lower price substitutes can also impact consumer demand. So the impact that an increase in advertising expenditure has on sale varies by industries, and companies frequently review the advertising to sales ratio to measure the effectiveness of their advertising strategies. Quality advertising will result in shift in demand for a product or service. Advertising elasticity of demand is valuable in that it is that the change in demand expressed as percentage by spending on advertising in a given sector. Simply, it to show how successful a 1% increase in advertising spend is for raising sales in a specific sector when all other factors are same. For example, a commercial for a fairly uh, inexpensive goods such as a hamburger may result in a quick bump in sales. On the other hand, advertising for a luxury items such as an expensive car or piece of jewelry may not see a payback for some times because the goods is costly and is less likely to be purchased. So um, mostly advertising of demand can be also find out with the help of this the formulas as a percentage change in quantity divided by percentage change in advertising. And you can also find out with the help of this formulas. Advertising elasticity of demand is equal to Q2 minus Q1 upon Q1 and divided by A2 minus A1 upon A1. Q1 is equal to initial quantity of demand. Q2 is equal to new quantity of demand. A1 is equal to initial advertising expenditure. A2 new advertising expenditure. Strand, hope you understood well four types of elasticity of demand. Now we discuss about the decrease of elasticity of demand. Strand, now we discuss about the decrease of elasticity of demand. Different commodities have different price elasticity. Some commodities have more elastic demand while others have relative elastic demand. Basically, the price elasticity of demand ranges from 0 to infinity. It can be equal 0, less than 1, greater than 1 and equal to unity. And now we discuss about five types of elasticity of demand. First of all, we discuss about perfectly elasticity of demand. When demand doesn't change regardless of changes in other factors, product that are considered are necessity with no substitutes are in this zone, such as essential foods, life-saving drugs. Perfectly elasticity demand has a perfectly elastic demand is of zero. The demand is known as a perfectly elastic when the quantity demanded increases infinitely or by limitless. Sorry, perfectly elastic demand is this demand is perfectly inelastic uh, when the demand of the goods is not a decrease or it not decrease. This demand is found in the compulsory goods which are very compulsory for the customer. Demand remains same if the price may rise or fall. It is also named zero elasticity in this degree of zero elasticity. In this degree of elasticity, the demand quantity remain the same any rise or fall of the in the price of the commodity. It also has no real world standing. The following figures show the curve of perfectly elastic demand. You can see when the price is P1, the demand OQ. When the price decrease P2, now the demand is OQ. When the price also decrease, now the demand is OQ. So the changes in the price, there is no effect gives on the demand. Demand remain always same. Now we discuss about the perfect relatively inelastic demand. Inelastic demand, it means that take large change in a factor such as price to cause a small change in demand. Gasoline and salt are the common example of relatively inelastic product. Relatively inelastic product has a price elasticity of demand less than one. In this elasticity of demand always less than one. The demand is called relatively inelastic when the proportionate change in quantity demanded of a commodity is lesser than that of the price of the commodity. It is similarly named less elastic or inelastic demand. Uh, for example, when the price falls by 9% and the demand rises by less than 9, and it increase it increase only 7% or 5%, then it is says inelastic demand. The demand for goods of daily consumption necessarily is inelastic. Now you can see in this diagram in the above figure the demand curve DD show inelastic demand of a commodity. The figure depicts the percentage change in price is greater than that the quantity demand. So I think strand now we discuss about next degree of demand. Now we discuss about next unitary elasticity, elastic demand. It is a special case that arises when the impact of demand is an equal one for one change compared with another factor. For example, a 10% increase in price causes a 10% decrease in demand quantity. The demand is called unitary elastic demand when the proportional change in price of the predicted result is a similar proportionate uh, change in a quantity demand. For example, if 10% or 11% in price to exactly 11% change in quantity demand, then this is unitary elastic demand. It is also an imaginary one as it is hardly relevant in our everyday life cycle. The following diagram shows the concept of unitary elastic demand. The demand curve is DD, is unitary elastic demand in the rectangular hyperbole. You can see rectangular hyperbole. Uh, it is demonstrate that the demand is unitary elastic. The fall in price from OP1 to OP2 has caused an equal proportionate increase in the demand from uh, sorry when the price is OP1, the demand is OQ1, and when the price is decrease, it becomes OP2 and the demand equally increase OQ2. Similarly, when the price increases, the demand decreases in the same proportion. The demand curve DD never touch x-axis or y-axis. Therefore, the demand curve represent unitary elastic demand. Now, we discuss about unitary elasticity demand. Sorry, it is here, and the changes is equal. Sorry, now we discuss about relatively elastic demand. It means a small change in one factor, uh, change in one factor creates a disproportionately larger change in the demand. For example, if 5% increase in the price of a streaming service caused a 10% decrease, higher value indicates greater elasticity. Uh, Always demand curve become flatter. So sorry, steeper is type C, steeper हो जाता है. It means um, the demand is referred to as relatively elastic when the proportional alterations in demand is larger than the proportion changes in price. If there is a bigger change in demand due to a small change in price, it is also named highly elastic demand or simply elastic demand. For example, if the price falls 7% and the demand rises by more than 7, you may see that 10%, 12%, then it is an instant of elastic demand. The demand for luxurious goods such as highly quality cars, etc. It is an elastic one. The following uh, the following diagram show the elastic demand curve as DD curve. In the figure, the demand curve DD show relatively elastic demand and the price P1, P2, and the quantity. The initial price P1 and the quantity OQ1. And when the prices decreases in the price from P1 to P2, then the demand quantity has increased from OQ1 to OQ2. Here the percentage change in the quantity demanded is higher than that of the price of the product. The numerical value of elasticity is greater than 1 is such a case. Now, elasticity of demand is greater than 1. Now, we discuss about perfectly elastic demand. Perfectly elastic of demand, uh, uh, sorry, it is extreme scenario. Uh, extreme, it is extreme scenario where demand drops 100%. यानी perfectly elastic when demand where demand drops 100% due to changes in one of the factor. This is relatively rare since characteristics like accessibility, brand loyalty, and quality will often cause some customer to continue to purchase a product. It means the demand is known as perfectly elastic demand. Perfectly elastic demand when the quantity demanded increases infinity or by limitless size with a small fall in price or quantity demanded and or quantity demanded zero with small ups and down in the price. Thus, it has also identified as infinity elasticity. Perfectly elasticity has not any real world status as it is hardly instituted in our daily undertakings of life. A demand curve is of infinite elasticity is known as a perfectly or completely elastic demand curve. The following diagram show a perfectly elastic demand. In this diagram, you see the demand curve DD is parallel to x-axis. X-axis parallel है. Show perfectly elastic demand. It is a straight line parallel to the x-axis. You can see here it is the straight line to the parallel to the x-axis. It's display that tiny alterations in price results in inflating analysis in quantity demanding. This types of elasticity is considered as a per limit of the elasticity. So when there is a tiny changes or very small changes in the prices, but demand has a 100% changes. So it is says perfectly elastic demand. Student, now hope you have to understood the decrease of elasticity of demand uh, perfectly inelastic demand, perfectly elastic demand, unitary demand, uh, less elastic demand, and more elastic demand. Now we discuss about the 7 factors affecting price elasticity of demand. There are 7 factors affecting price elasticity of demand. You see in the diagram one by one. We discuss about these factors. First of all, demand elasticity measures the responsiveness of demand for a commodity when there is change in an economic factor. Mostly, this economic factor is the price. Moreover, other than price, a product demand can reacted to a consumer's income level, product substitute, level of necessity, or more. In this blog, we will be discussing the we will in this sorry in this blog we will discussing about the key factor affecting price elasticity of demand. The concept of elasticity of demand is important for businesses and policy makers as it helps you make informed decision about the pricing strategies, production level, and even tax policies. Later now, we discuss about what are the factors influencing the price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand is not as linear as it may sound. To succeed in the market, a company has to consider ample different variables to determine if its products is elastic or not. Understanding this help in the producer make a strategy, and it is important what are the determinants the price elasticity of demand to develop a sustainable pricing process that will help you scale up in the long term. First of all, we discuss about the affecting topic, the availability of the substitutes. And you have also I have also discussed about the substitute goods. Reliable substitutes are one of the crucial factors influencing price elasticity of demand. If a product has a reliable substitutes in the market, its demand undergo, undergoes a significant change. The more substitutes available, the more elastic the demand for the goods or service will be. However, it is opposite for inelastic product. The demand doesn't react as much as it does in the other case when there is a change in the price. To put it simply here, we can also explain it with the example. The demand for electronics is relatively elastic because there are other substitutes for it. Whereas the demand for gasoline in the journal is less elastic because there are no more substitute available to satisfy consumer needs. As the substitute goods which have effect which can take place to another goods. So I think you have to understood now the proportion of income spent on the commodity. On the vital factor affecting price elasticity of demand is the proportion of the consumer incomes that is spent on an item. For high income household, consumers' elasticity of demand is typically low, but remain quite high or low income level groups. This, however, is strongly influenced by several factors such as the income level, the income portion spent on the product, and the types of product consumer are willing to spend. In the previous video, I also explained the normal product, luxuries product, and inferior product. Not always the determination of elasticity linear. Hence, to find the elasticity of product is complex situation. Both the price and the percentage of consumer income are considered. I have also explained you that the relation, the consumer income and normal goods is positive, while the relation of the consumer income and the inferior goods is negative. Now, the time frame. This too is one of the powerful factor affecting the price elasticity of demand. It refers to the pace at which the demand reacted to change in the price. To put it simply, the pace at which consumers can switch to another alternative and adjust their consumption habit. In the short terms, buyers tend to stick to the same item, fail to find substitutes, and are unable to adjust their consumption habits, leading to the product's inelastic demand. However, in the long terms, the consumer may be able to find substitutes or adjust their consumption habits, leading to more elastic demand. Now, fourth is the degree of necessity. Demand responds to price changes depending on the product degree of necessity has. This is one of the vital determinants of price elasticity of demand. Necessities such as food and housing tend to have inelastic demand as a consumer will continue to purchase them regardless to price changes. It's because there is no other reliable substitute or finding an alternative would require time, energy, and investment. On the other hand, luxury goods such as design, branded clothing, and high level cars tend to have more elastic demand because consumers are more likely to cut back on purchases when prices increases. Now, brand loyalty. Brand loyalty can also affect the price elasticity of demand because it is also show the status of the customer living standard. Customers who are loyal to a particular brand may be less likely to switch to substitutes even the prices increase, leading to inelastic demand. This, however, is not as watertight as it seems. Brand loyalty losses influences in times of recession when consumers might opt for cheaper products despite the perceived lower qualities. Income level in the another accompanying factors that combined with the brand loyalty impacts the elasticity of demand. Now, next, six, the level of competition. In a market with high level of competition, firms will have to be more responsive to changing consumers' demand, leading to the more elastic demand. If they are replaceable with other similar items, the demand will fall as prices rise. Hence, companies tend to remain competitive by adjusting their prices after studying their competitors. On the other hand, in the market with less competition, firms are able to change higher prices without losing as many customers. Um, now, next and last ability of information. The availability of information about a goods or services is another factor influence price elasticity of demand. When consumer has access to more information about a good or service, they are more likely to make well-informed purchasing decision, which can lead to more elastic demand. We live in a time when countless reviewers as well as information or alternatives are a few clicks away. As such, it's more important than ever to capable to the customer can find the information online, websites, many websites. So, if he has correctly information about the product, he can also take the substitute goods and other goods. Now, understanding the factor affecting pricing, price elasticity of demand has companies find enough clarity to set pricing policies both short time long term. It also help identify key value product. This term would help maximize profit margins and also shift the tax burden by increasing prices. In times of high companies, the prices of elastic product needs to be changed frequently to not miss out on profits or seize volume. And this is where dynamic prices enters. Like as firms are able to see through the establish a powerful pricing strategy for the long run. Uh, Hope student, you can understood well what is elasticity of demand, types of elasticity of demand, degrees of elasticity of demand, and what factors affect the elasticity of demand. Now, thank you. Thank you very much.